Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 35 of Season 4 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series / Chase Race number 9. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the California 400 at California Speedway as we are getting set up to go racing for the penultimate race this season of Season 4 at this 2-mile racetrack. But before we look at the starting lineup, as usual, we have got to take a look at the chase standings. So after last week at Pikes Peak, Joshua Sekuli extended his points lead to 17 points over Sean Galligan, 58 over Johnny Gardner, 60 over James Qualls, 62 over William Brock, 71 over Tim Fiegel, 72 over Rafael LeDuc, 73 over Dylan Young. Everybody else behind them are virtually out of the hunt for the championship. So everybody from Dylan Poteet, Kyle Matthews, Zach Flickinger, James McLeod, Chris Dollarton, and Dylan Jacobs, they are all pretty much mathematically out of the picture for the championship this season. The long shots are Fiegel, LeDuc, and Young. The three drivers with a slight chance are Gardner, Qualls, and Brock. Galligan's still the one close driver to Sekuli that has a shot to win this championship. But let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting in the last row is Rafael LeDuc and Shane Lake. Top 10, Jay Jefferson is on the pole. Starting next to him is associate teammate Seth Cole. Row 2, Trent Dunham, Chris Dollarton. Row 3, Zach Flickinger, Matt Haas. Row 4, Anthony McCurry, Dylan Thoreau. And then row 5, Zachary Fitzwater and Jessica Shelton. But with that said, let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for the California 400 at California.
Drivers, start your engines!
All 42 cars on the racetrack for their one pace lap. So, a couple of the higher up drivers in the championship standings are starting in the back of the field. The top two in points in particularly, they're starting in the row above the last row, Sekuli and Galligan. So, those two guys are going to be racing each other quite hard here in the early going, because if Sekuli can finish ahead of everybody in the chase by a large margin, he will have clinched the championship going into the finale at Kansas. But with this being California, where anything can happen, pit strategy, crazy wrecks, we're just going to have to watch and find out how this is going to change the championship picture going into the finale next week at Kansas. Pace car in the pit road. And you know what time it is? It is time to boogity, 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 go racing. Jay Jefferson led lap number 1 here today at California, and right now he's about to be under fire from Zach Flickinger, who has been slowly or quickly working his way up into the top 2. And now he's about to try and dive down to try and take the race lead for himself. And Flickinger, like I said, he is virtually out of the championship hunt, so he's basically got nothing to lose. He just wants to finish this season on a high note for himself by getting his 3rd win of the season. And he would be the first driver this season. If he were to win, he would be the first driver this season to go 3 wins this year. Because we've had mostly either 2-time winners or 1-time winners this season. None more than 2 this season. But Jay Jefferson actually hanging strong on the outside with help from Anthony McCrory. And now he's going to come down in front of Flickinger to block the inside lane and keep the lead. As we conclude lap number 3 on to lap 4, a second is under battle between Anthony McCrory, Chris Dollerton, and Zach Flickinger, as it's double the 3-wide action pretty much all throughout the racetrack. It's just all a matter of keeping momentum going on either lane. And now McCrory's trying to dive back down underneath Dollerton for 3rd. And then a couple dodges. Flickinger in the 91 and Parker in the 09 trying to work their way up here. Meanwhile, 3 wide for 2nd is going on, and this is exactly what Jay Jefferson likes to see. Guys behind him racing hard, and he's pulling away from everyone right now. Last time by at the line, over 0.3 of a second, he led over 2nd place. And that 2nd place driver now is Anthony McCrory. Now McCrory is looking for a little bit of redemption after last week at Pikes Peak, where he came very, very close to winning. And he's definitely one to try and end this season on a high note, so that way when we return for Season 5, when we have only a 40-car field, he'll be able to have some momentum going in. Meanwhile, 3 wide for the lead. Where did Phil Parker come from? Phil Parker now takes the race lead over in that 09 PlayStation 4 Dodge. Meanwhile, we might see 3 wide for 2nd again, as look at Pichu London come up underneath for that spot on the bottom lane. And then a couple friends, Preston Poor, Charles Sanford. Charles Sanford, one of the hometown boys. He's looking to get a win this season here at his home track. One of his home state tracks, along with Sonoma. And right now he's looking really good. As meanwhile, look at Joshua Sekuli. Same thing happened last week at Pikes Peak. He started dead last and worked his way and got a top 10 finish. Right now, he's inside the top 10. Man, Sekuli, like I kept saying last week, he just knows what he's doing in that race car. And all he really has to do now is just hope that Galligan has a bad run. And he will have the championship clinched. Speaking of Galligan, let's see where he's currently running. Last time by, he was scored 24th, so not quite as big of an advantage as he would like to have. And I was talking about Sekuli in that sense. Meanwhile, Jay Jefferson, who led early on, starting to slip back quite a few spots. As Phil Parker hangs on to the lead right now. Pichu London right behind him in 2nd. And then the home state boy, Charles Sanford, right there in 3rd. And now Sanford going to try and take 2nd away from London. And at the same time of doing that, he's maybe looking to go to the bottom underneath of Phil Parker. Although he didn't quite make it, he didn't get it done there, but he is now up to 2nd. Meanwhile, Preston Florida's got Jay Jefferson breathing down his neck, as Jay Jefferson's trying to get back to the lead. Right now he is 5th. Just looking around that area of the racetrack to make sure nothing happened. And when we cross the line, we will have been a 1/3 of the way through this race. But keep in mind, pit strategy is a huge factor here at California. Some cars will pit at halfway, some will pit later on. Some cars who did pit at halfway would end up having to pit again, but who knows when these drivers will have to come to pit road here today. We are a third of the way through here at California. Phil Parker and Jay Jefferson have been the two cars of the race so far. Jay Jefferson trying to use the outside lane to get around Preston Plord, and can he make it work? Does he make it work? Indeed he does. Great move by the 87 to use the outside lane to his advantage to take the 4th spot back. Meanwhile, Charles Sanford's maybe looking to do the same thing on the outside of Phil Parker for the lead, and at the line I think Parker still led, and indeed he did, but imagine if that was the finish. That would have been incredible. But let's see if Charles is going to be able to pick that run up off the sorry if I'm tongue twisting myself, and the caution is out. See what for? Oh, Dylan Young, one of the championship contenders, was involved. So too was Matt Haas. A 2-car accident brings the caution out for the first time today here at California, and it looked like some cars were maybe wanting to come into pit road, but they're going to have to wait. So this is going to really make pit strategy interesting if that was the case. But Phil Parker still hangs on to the race lead after a caution that came out with a wreck involving a championship contender in Dylan Young, and he was one of the long shot drivers that desperately needed a good run, and now his chases of getting the championship have gone out the window. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out for the first time today here at California. Well, we could be seeing the start of a rivalry here, because look at what happens. So Matt Haas is in the middle, and he decides to come up into Dylan Young on the outside and put him into the wall, causing them both to spin. I don't know what the deal was with that. I mean, some people would argue that the 79 was trying to give room to Kyle Matthews or James Richardson, whoever that was on the bottom, trying to give them room, but it looked like he gave him plenty of room and just ran the two out of racetrack. It was actually both Richardson and Matthews that the 79, you could argue, was trying to give extra room to, but in doing so, he ends up getting up into Dylan Young, and I want to say that there was some probably some contact between these two earlier in the race that we don't know about, but I don't know about what Matt Haas just did right there. He just took out a championship contender, although perhaps because neither of those two got big damage, perhaps Dylan Young's chances aren't quite dwindled, but he's going to have a tough time having to restart in the back of the field and trying to work his way back up. But I don't know if he's going to be able to pull it off, but stranger things have happened in this series, as we're going to go ahead and take you to the restart here at California. Well, no cars are out of the race after that caution. All 42 cars are still on the racetrack. But some pit strategy happened. These first two cars did not come into pit road, and some went with 2 tires, some went with gas only. So this field got shuffled up quite a good bit. But Sky Commons is your race leader. Second is James McLeod. Third is Phil Parker. Fourth, Preston Plord. Fifth is Joshua Sekuli. 6th is Jake Baskinger. 7th, DJ Curtis. 8th is Carson Gum. 9th is Dylan Poteet. 10th, Anthony McCrory. 11th, Emmanuel Hartnett. 12th, Tim Fiegel. 13th, Dorian Facepuncher. 14th is Charles Sanford. 15th, Matt McIntyre. 16th, Pichu London. 17th, Jessica Shelton. 18th, Ashlyn Boyd. 19th is Zachary Fitzwater. 20th, Jay Jefferson. 21st, William Brock. 22nd, James Richardson. 23rd, Chris Dollarton. 24th, Kyle Matthews. 25th is Jackie Tang. 26th is Shane Lake. 27th, Dylan Thoreau. 28th, Sean Galligan. 29th, Zach Flickinger. 30th, James Qualls. 31st, Benjamin Miles. 32nd, Trent Dunham. 33rd, Dylan Jacobs. 34th, Seth Cole. 35th is Johnny Gardner. 36th, Rafael Leduc. 37th is Alex Strayton. 38th, Joshua Collard. 39th is Ryan Brommer. 40th, Jonathan Zorline. 41st, Dylan Young. 42nd, Matt Haas, as the green flag is back out with 14 to go, and at lap 20 will be when we take a commercial break from this race. Now you gotta wonder with the 45 and the 51, I'm not sure if they pitted or not, or if they took fuel only under the caution. So we're gonna have to keep our eyes up here on these two and see what happens. Although they're slowing down, it looks like. Or at least the 51's slowing down. He's coming into pit road, so he obviously couldn't make it. There's actually quite a few that's coming in. I saw Carson Gum was one of them. I'm trying to see who the other one was. Poteet was the other one. So Poteet, McLeod, and Carson could not make it. Sky Commons now is the next questionable driver, as he's about to get passed by his teammate, Phil Parker, who's trying to get to the lead where he was early in the race. Oh, contact! Sky Commons tried to get down the pit road, but the 09 was already there, but luckily nothing happened there, so we're still good. Phil Parker has the lead, but he's about to get challenged by Preston Plord now, as Sky Commons comes into pit road. Right now, Joshua Sakuli, excuse me, who is the points leader, is currently running in third. He's not quite ahead as much as I would think over Galligan. Galligan's definitely trying to make a comeback run so he can stay within reach going into Kansas next week. But we're getting ready to come across the line for lap 20. Live action will still be on the bottom of your screen, but we're going to commercial. We'll be right back. So the question on everybody's mind is, what would you do for a Snickers bar? Dude, I can't talk right now. I'm doing a commercial for Snickers, for fuck's sake. Would you stab yourself in the penis? Oh, I don't have a dick anymore. Worth it. What would you do for a Snickers bar? Oh no, no, Dylan, don't you do it. Don't LePage the field. Please think about it. Think about your friends. Think about the other drivers in the field. You're probably gonna get them all to hate you and you won't be loved ever again. No, don't do it, Dylan. No! Why did you LePage the field, Dylan? Why? Why? Attention Marvel Studios Cup Series drivers. Do not LePage the field under any circumstances, otherwise everyone's gonna hate you. Hey, dramatic commercial sell, baby. Yes! What the fuck? There's a fucking crack in the fucking ceiling of my room, and it's leaking blood. Are there a bunch of dead birds up there or something? Either way, I need to get this fixed. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there! Hey, can you fix this for me, please? I sure can. Just give me a second.
A few moments later.
Another reason more people stay with State Farm. Get to a better state.
Go ahead. Indulge yourself with the finest food mankind ever created. After all, you deserve it after a long, hard day at work having to piddle around with a bunch of dumb fucking idiots on a golf course. So yes, eat away your pain.
Where's the pizza?
I've got fucking Chinese food! I can't even open it! Look at this Chinese food! Look at this Chinese food! Oh, I'm gonna eat it! Look at this. You've got lo mein noodles, you've got onions, you've got carrots, cabbage, and you also have General Tao chicken pieces. I think Chinese food, the best a man or woman can get. You want to buy a bottle, plastic or glass? Well, we sell bottles. We only sell bottles. Be sure to go to www.bottlesinc.com. What the fuck am I doing with my life? Welcome back here to the California 400 at California Speedway, as we're under caution, as you can tell, and we're looking at the replay here. So yeah, just a big cluster of cars trying to give room to each other and running each other out of room was basically what caused this wreck to happen. And it was like Dylan Thoreau, whoa, look at Ashland Boyd go up roof first along the wall. Dylan Jacobs even went up in the air, and look at the 10 still riding on the side and on top of the 78 of Dylan Jacobs, and then it looks like Ashland Boyd's going to go for some barrel rolls. So, wild wreck, similar to what happened with Dylan Young and Matt Haas, only much, much worse. More cars involved, and more cars are actually damaged goods. But let's go to helicopter view just to see how this all unfolds in realistic terms. And yeah, it does look like Dylan Jacobs is starting to come up to Dylan Thoreau a little bit, and Thoreau was trying to give room to him, but didn't realize the 42 of Kyle Matthews was up there, as was the 10 of Ashland Boyd. And Rafael LeDuc, who was another long shot driver needing to get a good run, ended up involved in this. Dylan Jacobs, who was already out of the hunt, same with Kyle Matthews. And, you know, let's count Ashland's flips. So there's 1, 2... 3 times he ended up going over after all this chaos caused by cars trying to go 4 wide, and it just did not work out properly. And then we get a follow-up wreck. Matt McIntyre hits the 78 of Dylan Jacobs, and Sky Commons ended up with some damage. And Matt McIntyre goes spinning, but he does get some pretty big damage, and you can see the engine smoke, so a big side swipe is what took the 32 out of the race, pretty much. So, let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at California. Well, after that second caution, we got 4 cars officially out of the race. Dylan Jacobs, Rafael LeDuc, Ashland Boyd, and Matt McIntyre, with 4 cars a lap down. James McLeod, Carson Gump, Sky Commons, and Dylan Poteet. So the top 20, when we get back to racing, Phil Parker is still your race leader. Second is Preston Plord. Third is Jackie Tang. Fourth is Jake Baskinger. Fifth is Tim Viegel. Sixth is Zachary Fitzwater. Seventh is Trent Dunham. Eighth, Joshua Sakuli. Ninth, Pichu London. 10th is Benjamin Miles. 11th is Shane Lake. 12th is DJ Curtis. 13th is Anthony McCrory. 14th, Dorian Facepuncher. 15th, William Brock. 16th is Sean Galligan. 17th, Charles Sanford. 18th, Seth Cole. 19th, James Qualls. 20th, Zach Flickinger. So Sean Galligan, if the race were to end right now, he would only lose 8 points on the 82, which means he would be 25 points out. So technically, Galligan still has some hope, but he's going to have to really play it safe. And the best way to do that would be to try to get around the 82 to make sure he gains a little bit of points, so you have a much more smaller cushion to gain upon for Kansas next week in the finale. But the pace car's in pit road. It's going to be 4 laps to go. And look at that restart for Phil Parker. He got off very, very well. And the 24 didn't get going really at all. And now here comes Jackie Tang already to try and take that spot away. And Jackie Tang's got a fast enough run to where he might try and take the lead from Phil Parker. Meanwhile, Joshua Sekuli, the points leader, would be up to about 7th, now trying to go for the 6th position. Where's Galligan? Galligan, he's stuck on the outside. That's not really where he wants to be. He needs to try and get to the bottom to get some positions. Otherwise, he's going to have more points to fall back on going into Kansas next week. Last time scored still 16th, but he's going to end up losing so much ground as a result. But then again, Sekuli's stuck on the outside too, so this might actually benefit the 44 just a little bit, as Peachy London's trying to retake that spot away from the 82, and Shane Lake trying to do the same thing. Meanwhile, you got other cars starting to work their way up here. Oh, but some cars are pitting! Oh, some cars couldn't make it on gas! Oh, this could really shake the complexity of not only this race, but the championship as well. Oh, Sekuli nearly got squeezed by Peachy London, almost got squeezed into the wall. And look at Galligan, he is gaining on the 82. But the one thing that the 44 hopes is that he doesn't have to come into pit road. But I don't know, considering what we saw in the last lap, some cars might end up having to come in. But nobody's going to take the chance. Galligan's got to run underneath Sekuli. Gonna try and pick up the draft from Seth Cole to make it work, as the draft of Sekuli and Curtis got broken. Galligan's there underneath the 82 as the white flag is out. I'm keeping an eye on these two because this is basically to determine how many points these two are going to be separated by going into the finale at Kansas. Galligan almost got clipped by James Qualls as he came back up the racetrack. But back up at the front of the field, Jackie Tang has the lead, but Trent Dunham's right there. Trent trying to get the run. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. Checkered flag waving. Jackie Tang wins the California 400 at California Speedway. In what was a photo finish, 5/100ths of a second. That, I don't know if that's the closest finish we've had all season, but certainly one of them. But great job, Jackie Tang. But let's look at the rest of the results as they finish. Trent Dunham had a huge head of momentum on the last lap. Maybe if we had one more lap, he would have probably gotten the win, but still gets a great finish in second. Zachary Fitzwater, where did he come from to finish third? The dominant car of the day, Phil Parker, unfortunately doesn't get the win, but still gets a top 5 run in fourth. And then Tim Fiegel finishes in fifth. Benjamin Miles with a great run in the 6th position. Jake Baskinger, solid run in 7th. Shane Lake, the second highest finishing rookie, in the 8th position. Peachy London finishing out in 9th, and then a great run in 10th for Preston Plord. Then the rest of the top 20, DJ Curtis, Seth Cole, Sean Galligan, Dorian Facepuncher, then Joshua Sekuli. So we now know that when we get to Kansas for the finale, it's going to be 15 points separating Joshua Sekuli from Sean Galligan. So that's going to be your championship battle next week at Kansas. But anyways, the rest of the top 20 was Zach Flickinger, William Brock, Charles Sanford, Jay Jefferson, and Chris Dollerton. Rest of the lead lap cars were Joshua Collard, Ryan Brommer, Jonathan Zorline, Dylan Young, Alex Straden, Matt Haas, and Dylan Thoreau. Everybody else that finished was a lap or more down. Anthony McCrory, James Qualls, Emmanuel Hartnett, James McLeod, Dylan Poteet, Johnny Gardner, Carson Gum, Jessica Shelton, Sky Commons, James Richardson, and Kyle Matthews. And then 4 cars out of the race after that second crash, and they were Dylan Jacobs, Rafael LeDuc, Ashlyn Boyd, and Matt McIntyre. But that does it for our coverage today at California. We got one race left to determine the champion, and that is Kansas Speedway for the Banquet 400. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into the finale at Kansas. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.